This is nothing, right? We have a point of interest, that's nothing. It only becomes something once we close below the series of closed candles that made the high. Do we close below that? We do. Now this is a protected swing, right? Or an opposing candles, or whatever you want to call it. I don't expect price to trade back up to here if we're going to trade lower, right? And then that's your confirmation, so you can either enter on the market or retest. Now we have fair value gaps, right? So now if I'm trying to short this, I need price to either, one, reach into a fair value gap or take out a high. I'm not trying to trade this high unless it trades into the fair value gap. So right there, I don't take that, right? But for the sake of the example, if price did this, right? Now we have a point of interest. Did it close through the series of closed candles? We do. That's your confirmation or a continuation. And does it work? I mean, it's just consolidating, but does that make sense? If you go into the CISD section, the protected swings, it's all just a closure through opposing candles. And if I'm trying to trade a higher time frame reversal, we'll go to NQ for this, I guess. I'm just gonna leave my drawings because if I'm trying to trade a higher time frame reversal up here, I'm wanting to wait for the opposing candles to form as those provide entries into this trend, right? Why does this one count? SMT, but it reaches into the fair value gap. So then that one forms. Can consider that one. This one sweeps out a high, close below. So really, I'm expecting this to just hang around, well, until FOMC. But you gotta understand what opposing candles are because that's kind of the foundation of my model. Please try use a different symbol to distinguish between nothing and protected. I mean, we can use anything. It's always going to be the same. All I'm saying is this, right? It's 3 steps. You need a point of interest, or it's 2 steps really. Point of interest, but we can make it 3. Swing, closure through. You need to have all 3 of these. So for instance here, right? Price, does it reach into a point of interest? Well, we're not going to use that one because it's going to make it more difficult to explain. Let's see if I can find one that's okay. Sure. Okay. So this is what we need. Ready? This would be our change in the state of delivery, right? Because it sweeps out the low, closure through. That's forming the swing point here, right? But we're focused on the continuations. So do we have a point of interest? Step 1. Yes. Now let's replay this. What do I mean with it's nothing? It's nothing right now, right? Because what could price do? It could just go down here, right? This is not protected, right? Because we need all 3 of these to become protected. Point of interest, does it form a swing? Sure, it forms a swing, right? Is that going to be enough? I don't know. I need to wait for what? The last step, closure through. Oh, there we have closure through. Now with that closure through, this becomes a valid set of opposing candles, and I expect this low to hold. Then it can trade higher. So it's the same thing repeated all the time. That's it. It doesn't matter the time frame, the asset, anything, it's all the same. Point of interest, a swing forms, closure through. That's what I talk about in the entry sequence. So, all right. Thanks for replay mode. But we can talk about this really quick today. So I know quite a few of you caught this today, which is great. Right, we have a nice candle 2 closure on the daily, right? We can all agree. Price sweeps out its previous candle, closes back in. Do we have a confirmation? So we're just following the flowchart. Yes, we do, as we have this series of up close candles here. They get closed below. And once again, it's the same thing. This, if it's going to form a protected high, has to do what? Point of interest? Well, on the CISD, it's always just going to be candle 1's high. That's the point of interest. But point of interest, does it form a swing? It forms a swing point, then it closes through. That's what protects this high. Okay? But we have the lower time frame confirmation. We can look for entries here where the lower half of candle 2, right? Or with a wick, you can use the 0.5 of the wick. Doesn't really matter. You're looking short in this day. And then we have SMT, but, right, few people got that entry on the 4 hour, right, because we have a 4 hour candle 2 closure there, right? This isn't super ideal as it's lacking that point of interest. You have to use YM for the SMT, but mainly right there, right? And here's another example of this is what I mean when I refer to something as an ideal formation. Just forget everything else except for these 3 candles here. Ideal formation is when price forms a swing. So you can see a candle 2 closure here, but it also forms that protected swing at the same time. So it's doing those 3 steps all at once. That makes sense? Yes, these sessions get recorded and they'll post it in WAP. Alrighty. Alright, let me scroll back up. Alright. For the trade you went through, did we have the hourly closure? Or are we just looking at the 5-minute? Yeah, I'm only looking, I think we were looking at here. You have the hourly closure here. So if we go here, right? You have this hourly closure, right? Which if we replay, you'll see it a bit better. Right, we have this hourly closure here. Candle 2 closure. Yes, it is quite large. Do we have open targets, right? And you can frame it both ways, so we're not going to go too in detail on that. But candle 2 closure, that then forms in a protected swing prior to the open of candle 3, which means going into candle 3, you don't expect price to go up here. So that's where you could take a positional entry or an entry in here, just trading this candle, right? So I think that's what some people took. I know some people took RTY longs, which is probably a bit cleaner. I mean, you would have to frame it on the 30 and 3. Or you're trading the reversal candle. So probably not for the majority of people. It's a bit more of an advanced trade, so we're not going to go too much in detail because I'm not trying to confuse people. This morning I saw this as consolidation range, and I figured we see the high of the range before breaking lower. So that's the correct insight to have. Let's go take a look here. It's correct to view it in this way, these phases of price, right? Because you have expansion met with expansion, which is a reversal, right? You have a consolidation. You want to see that consolidation high taken to then trade lower. What is the only exception where you can trade without that high being taken? Who can answer? SMT, exactly. So if we take a look here and we compare NQ with YM, right? What do we have there? Well, we have an SMT here. Make it red, right? Because we look at NQ, that same high. So that's the way you can frame it because SMT took it, or YM took it. Kind of crazy setup there on YM, eh? 2 SMTs. But, all right, let me scroll back up, get to the questions. Okay. I just went over it for you, Al Capone. TTrades, this is my entry short on NQ. Is it valid and makes sense? Yes, it does. Let's review it real quick. Ready? We're just going to go over here in Q because I don't have any drawings up on this one. So your trade looked something like this. Let me break it down. You came into the day saying, hey, I have a bearish bias because the daily candle closed. It has a nice V-shaped reversal, right? Candle 2 closure. I can expect price to trade lower as long as what? It doesn't go close up here, right? Because then it's going to go to the high. So I want to see, right? The same thing, consolidation highs taken, go. You guys know, we're all looking for the same stuff, right? Here though, we have SMT, right? We form SMT on the open, right? And if we let this trade, you're trading in the open, right? So we'll go down to the 5-minute to show this, right? You're going into the open, you have SMT, you're expecting price to trade lower, right? And what do we notice? Cool thing to note is what? Our bullish swing hit its target, right? But what do we have? We have the open, trades higher, then lower, forms a change in the state of delivery, right? So if you're very confident in something, right, and you have these targets, you can enter the reversal if you want. The only thing is, I'm wanting to get 2R to this low, right? So, could price trade back up into there? Sure. I'd usually want to give it a little room, so then I'd have to adjust to get 2R, right? That's something you could do, right? But you would want to wait for more confirmation, right? And what do we notice? Price comes back up, hits that level, right? Our change in the state of delivery. And 1 second, let's put this on. Right? Hits that level. And so then now, if we're looking for a continuation, we want to see a closure below there, right? Because that then protects this high and price can continue to trade lower. And what you did was you were probably looking to trade this, right? You were saying, I could get on side with this, but you had too wide of a stop and we just took out this low, so it didn't make sense. So then what you waited for was, hey, if we're going to continue this trend, we're going to form a continuation. How are we going to form a new protected swing? We need a point of interest, right? And let me to clarify, we hit both of these for the point of interest on this one. So with that, you let price trade into that area. Okay, it's pretty shallow, but that can be enough, right? See that? And then what do we have? This is an ideal candle to closure because it's doing what? Remember the 3 steps we just talked about? Where to form a protected swing, we need point of interest, a swing to form, and a closure through. The swing to form and the closure is happening at the exact same time, which then gives a very ideal area to take an entry, right? Obviously on here, I prefer a bit more of a sweep, but this is how you traded it. So there you go. There's your 2R, right? So yeah, I think that's a good trade. Oh yeah, and you took the other one as well. So yeah, you captured both of the opportunities there. You also took this one, right? Which you got 2R out of as well. So yeah, that's very well done. You just waited for the closures and that makes a lot of sense. Sarah, would you consider H4 opposing candles as CISD? You're going to have to give me a bit more context there. I don't know what you mean. Do I use them for a change in the state of delivery or trend? Sure. But I just don't know the context of what you mean. So if there's an opposing candle that does not sweep a high or hit a fair value gap, you ignore it. Yes. And the reason for that is this is what happens a lot of the time, right? A lot of the times, right? We're going to come in here and adjust this. It will look something like this, right? This is where people get into trouble, right? You'll have a fair value gap that looks like that, and you'll see this, and you're like, oh, this looks like a great formation. It just missed this, but that's fine. What price normally does is it'll give an entry, people take it, stops them out, then goes, right? I'm assuming many of you have probably experienced that before. So that's why, mechanically speaking, you need to have it hit a fair value gap or a high or a low to be a valid point of interest and a valid opposing candle. A good example of NASDAQ today on the 15-minute, 1 minute. 9:30 formed the candle 2 closure with SMT against ES, then C3 retraces. All right, yeah, let's go take a look at it. Sounds like Jeff got a nice trade on the 15-minute, 1 minute. So 1 minute on the open. All right, let's go take a look. So one thing here is this is where it actually can be more ideal to trade the reversal candle when 9:30 makes the opposing run, but nonetheless, let's talk about it. There's that. Now look at this. Ready? Here's a perfect example. How many of you would consider this an opposing candle? Right? I'm sure many of you have before. What happens? You're like, okay, I'll take this entry, put my stop there. We have 2R there. Looks like a good trade. What happens? Oh, stopped out right away. Why is that? It didn't have any point of interest, right? It just left that high there, made equal highs. So a few things to talk about here. I'm not the biggest fan of this deep retracement, right? Also because see how it's forming a shallow wick below here, which means this candle can expand, right? But nonetheless, we have SMT there, and there we go. So let's talk about this. Is this a valid opposing candle? Yes, because it has a point of interest, it has the series of up close candles forming the swing, and then it confirms that swing. So this is something where, yeah, I could take an entry here, right? Personally, I prefer to do what? Wait for the open of the new candle. Because think about this. This is how I think about it. And, you know, I may be wrong in this case, I don't know. But normally, when we have a bullish candle like this, I'd rather wait for the closure of this candle to then enter the new one. Because if this is a bullish candle, I'm not expecting it to just flip in the last 4 minutes, right? I'd expect this to close somewhere, price to open, make a new high, and go lower, right? So you can see it does go lower, where in which case forms a reversal candle. But that's just something I normally look for, right? So that would have been that entry, or you can look for a continuation. It's not super ideal to me because I'm not a huge fan of these type of opposing runs, right? All right, let me scroll back up. Do I need two-stage SMT if I'm confused using it? I don't really even use two-stage SMT, like I don't require it, so you don't need it. It's not something you need. For instance, I'll put it this way. Everything that you need is in my course. Is it in my course? No. So you don't need it, right? It's the same thing, positional entries. Can you use it? Sure. Is it in my course? No. I talk about it in here because we talk about it. But it's not what you need, right? You guys gotta refine it down before you try to add stuff. You don't need all this extra stuff to make it make sense. How do we get a good target if we're shorting at the close of 9:55 5-minute candle? Because NQ is a favored asset to trade, but it's so close to low a day, which means RR is low. Obviously ends up going much further. So if you're going to take a short on NQ today, you kind of have to have the idea that it's going to trade much lower, right? So you're trying to trade this. Your whole idea would have to be that we're going to not manipulate this low, right, and trade through. So if you're going into it with that idea, that's kind of how you have to plan it. So there's a few ways to go about it. You know, you're taking your entry in here, waiting for the confirmation, whatever, trying to look for down into there. One is you just accept the risk that it could do that. Another is once you run out that low, you can trail a bit more aggressively, because normally if price takes out a low and comes back in, that's not a good sign. You just want to see it fall. So if we mark out that low, what happens? If you're taking an entry right now, right, on the open, you said 9:55, right? Takes out this low. There's not really anything to trail to there, right? So this is just one you have to accept. It'd be different if we would have like retraced back up, then took the low, then did that. Then you could kind of trail to there. So this is one where you just have to accept it, right? So it's one of those where if you're being more conservative, you're not going to take this trade, right? Because that's ideally your target, right? So I wouldn't really stress on that. Yeah, that's a good example there, Jeff. For me, it's just that price retraced too much to really be interested on that time frame. Too much. You make the case that it left the low. High of the month and then finally rebounds. So in terms of NQ, let's do this really quick. I'm not trying to pick a high. I can show you guys WhatsApp messages if you want, where at the start of the week I told Kane that Tuesday would, you know, be the high if we were going to make one. That's just because if you think about a bearish week, if we're going to have one, Monday usually makes the opposing run, right? And then we have FOMC to drive price, so then it just kind of leaves Tuesday to leave that high. But the main thing for me is the only reason I would favor shorts up here is we took out a previous month's high, and then we have no swing point to trade off of. So candle 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 candles without a new low. So that's where I want to favor a retracement back into the range. But I'm not trying to say, oh, this is the high of the month, because that doesn't make sense to me. Because if you look at the month, we have a bullish candle, open, low, we're trading higher, right? I'm not trying to fade that, right? And how much time do we have left? Go here. We still have this many days. So am I going to try to pick the high of the month here when we could just do this? right? No, right? So that's why I just go day by day, right? So I don't bet on that personally. I'll bet on options to speculate because that limits my downside if I'm completely wrong. But if you're trading on a higher time frame for swing trading, which one would you take, and what time frame would you use? I would just use the daily and hourly, or mainly just the daily and hourly, like this. Like this is something I'd speculate on. But with that, I was actually planning on doing it, which would be using options. Why didn't I do it? Well, I was planning on buying them Tuesday. And if you take a look, when we opened up, like I was waiting for this to confirm. We were already kind of down here at the daily open. So that's just a reversal candle. I didn't feel like just sitting in theta decay. So it just didn't take that. But yeah, I would use the daily hourly. On the hourly chart, if price sweeps a previous swing high, can we take it as a liquidity sweep? On gold, sometimes we take the previous high C2 closure, but isn't proper trade in C3. So the main thing is you want to align with your higher time frame bias. As you guys have known, the past 3 streams, I've talked about what? How many people have talked about wanting to short gold, and what do I say every time? I'm not going to short this. There's something you just don't do when price is breaking out super hard on an asset, and that's just try to pick a high, right? Because sure, you could try to trade that day, but that's just way better just trade it that way. Sure, could try to short this day, but it's actually just a short to trade it higher, right? You know what I mean? So it's something where you just need to align it with a higher time frame. Don't try to pick shorts where it doesn't really make sense, right? You can make cases for like short-term relief, like right in here, sure. But if you're trying to expect price to just expand lower, it doesn't really make sense. So, and not every high being taken is a liquidity sweep, right? Like I don't say, oh, that's a liquidity sweep, we're trading lower now, right? I just view it as a swing that closed bullish next day. Currently in a demo trade on Euro USD. Sure, if you send the trade, I can review it. Was I wrong to think NQ would still take the consolidation highs because YM failed to manipulate? You could frame it both ways. It's a bit more advanced. So it just kind of is how the open trades. With the way that NQ traded off the open, you would just demand a little bit more confirmation. When is it too close to the next candle for you? 15 minutes, 10 minutes? I mean, it kind of depends. I don't have it super mechanical in that aspect. It depends on the actual candle formation. So like, if we have a nice bearish candle that then sets up a protected swing, it's like I don't really care to wait for the next candle because I'll just be in it and I have a protected swing. Versus if we have something that's like consolidating, then I'm just gonna wait for the next candle to run it out. So it's like it's a bit situational. Like I don't have mechanical timing where I say the entry has to form in the first 15 candles or something like that, What is 2-stage SMT? It's just SMT on both sides. So if we look at YM here, YM is an SMT with ES and NQ here as they went that way and here. Right, so the other assets look like this. Right. I wouldn't really worry about it until you have my model down, to be honest. Can you look at GJ? Yeah, let's first take a look at dollar because that kind of matters. All right. Dollar is moving, so not sure. Let's see. GBP, JPY. Is it consolidating? See, here's the thing. If I was to trade forex, if the dollar is trending, I don't want to be looking at exotic pairs because look at this. Does this look more fun to trade? Or does something like USD, JPY, does that look more fun to trade? That versus this. You know what I mean? So I can look at GBP, JPY for you. The only thing for that is I would first check dollar and say, hey, if dollar's consolidating, sure, that can make sense to look at something that is not a major, right? But with dollar trending here, it makes sense to then look at the currency futures and say, okay, dollar is bearish. What is the most bullish asset, right? And so then with that, I'm just going to look at here. Let's see, euro. Euro's set pretty bullish to these highs. Okay, pound. Euro's stronger than pound. JPY starting to break out. Canadian dollar could have been earlier in the week, but it's a Swiss franc. Okay. So like most likely you're just best off trading Euro USD this week because Euro is strongest, dollar is weakest, and if you look, that's setting up what? Here we form a protected swing, protect it, right? And we just break out. So like this makes more sense to have your focus if you're trading forex versus trying to trade something like GBP, JPY as that. Now, just to go off of it, yes, it has a proper candle closure, right? We have candle 2, right? But this is also a candle 3 closure, right? So going to the hourly, if I want to frame this to the short side, right? I would have to see what? Well, I'd want to see price open, trade higher into this fair value gap, then trade it lower. Not the biggest fan of price consolidating, taking out its previous day low, consolidating, unless we have SMT here with Euro JPY. Wow, that is just absolutely foul, I suppose. Not helpful at all. Anyways, unless this swept this out, there's really no way to trade this for me because that's the trade right there from London. After that low gets taken out and we see this V shape, there's no reason to try to short for me, right? At least until the next day. If price was to close like this, I'd want to see price reverse there. And if you're still bearish, then trade it lower. So hopefully that helps in terms of choosing assets. Hopefully that makes sense. GBP, JPY. Yeah, Monday high. I mean, sure, you could look to Monday high, but what would you need? Well, you'd need a fractal model to form that way. So you'd need a closure through here. Then the next day, open low, and then can trade it higher, right? So it's not that you just have to react to what price is doing and what it tells you, right? A closure will tell you. I see so many SMTs being used to create the candle too. I'm going to be so completely honest. Don't focus where you are at currently. Do not focus on SMT. You don't need it. It's just going to confuse you and overwhelm you. I promise. Because you need to get the basic concepts of the model down, like opposing candles and all of that, before you even think about SMT. Right? If you don't have those down, it's not going to make sense at all. It's just not going to be helpful. Yeah, I mean, Benu. Either one of those scenarios can make sense. Like I said, it's the same thing for me over and over. I don't really care if price does this, right? Reaches into here, this fair value gap, and then trades it higher. Or if it reaches into the fair value gap and then trades it lower, right? Do I know what will happen? No. I'm just going to wait for price to reach that point, and if it does, do we get a bullish candle closure? I can trade it higher. Do we not? I can wait to trade that lower. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to predict anything. PJ. Yeah, PJ, the only thing I'd say there is you could actually... Is that right now? I'm not a huge fan of... I will say one thing. If you're going to be paper trading or demo trading, I really recommend trading it exactly like you would a normal account. So like, would you be trading right now, PJ, would you be taking that trade right now prior to FOMC on the 5-minute late into the session? If yes, that's fine. So, okay, so just practicing. So here's the thing. Why would you be practicing something that you wouldn't do normally? You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I play basketball, right? should I practice free throws with my foot? Or should I practice free throws with my hands like I would do in a normal game? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to practice something you're not going to do. It's going to reinforce and build bad habits. So, going over it though, right? Why wouldn't I like this? Well, one is it's just consolidating. Two, Euro is what? Extremely bullish. I'm not trying to short this, right? If I looked at this and said, okay, is price more likely to trade a previous day high or previous day low? What would you say? Assuming most would say previous day high. So when we fail to take that out, still expecting price to trade there, we zoom out a little, what do we have? We have price sweep out the low, protected swing. Now we're in a fair value gap here. I'm expecting this to trade higher, right? So sure, you could try to trade this, but you're really just pattern trading that. And that's why it's going to fail. In my eyes, it should at least reach that, right? Even if it wants to go lower. So going back to here, is there a mechanical setup there? Sure, right? Right, in terms of bearish, we'll throw it on just bearish. Oops. Right, sure there's a setup there. And sure, you can take that if you want. Right, the only thing is, if I'm gonna try to trade this, what do I not like? Do I wanna see open, low, high, low, close? No, I wanna see price open, trade higher, get on side there, right? If I'm gonna try to trade this, I need to get 2R to here, because that's my first target, and we're in a higher time frame fair value gap, right? So the only way to really get that would be, all right, we form a little continuation in here. Can I get 2R on something like that? The candle closure entry? No. Like, there's just nothing for me to trade there. I'd rather frame it this way. So, but yeah, that's my thing is, if you're not going to do it actually, like you wouldn't do this and actually take that trade, why are you taking it on demo? You're just going to make really bad habits, and it's just not going to help you. One thing I haven't gotten down is avoiding trying to trade the very top or very low or a reversal. Can't even count the number of times I've been stopped out trying to guess the big move. Well, I think you know what your problem is. You really just need to be like, one thing that'll help is probably just sitting on the hourly and say, all right, if I'm going to try to catch this high, I have to wait for a change in the state of delivery. We're taking a look here. You can make a case to ignore this, but this is the swing low that made the high. Until we really get a closure through here, right? This is still bullish, right? So it's like, you can't really catch those highs until you get a change in the state of delivery, right? Like, sure, this is the first one that possibly formed a high. Is there any? None, 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 none. It just keeps you from shorting high, like rocket ships, basically. Do you have a favorite time frame pair that you trade for ESNQ? I would say it depends on the session. If you're in the New York session, I like the 5-minute or 3-minute for entries, and then the line time frames. All right. Let me see Berserk. Price retraced, leaving failure swing. So I was looking short on CL. So once again, let's see. Does CL have any sort of daily closure that aligns? All right. CL. Candle 2, 3, 4. Do we have a reversal off previous day high? Is there any reason to be looking short in here yet? Sure, you could use the SMT, right? But if you're taking the SMT, you want to be taking the weaker asset, right? It's just, this is why I avoid reversal days. Like, going to be completely honest, I just avoid reversal days because of this. Like, if you're trying to short in here, you're just going to get chopped up. Do I think we should be short biased on oil? Sure, right? Because of all these. But you know what else this reminds me of? I posted this here. Back in December. Was it December or this? Oil and I have done this a few times. It likes to leave all these nice lows and then just trade away from them. This is the one that I remember very clearly though. Trying to get it. Right? It's like, leaves this, trades higher, right? I still want to catch a short on oil, right? For me, where could that be? Well, if it's going to be kind of in this month, it needs to respect here, form a swing, start to trade away, then I'll try to trade it lower. But what I'm not going to do is try to catch this move, right? I'm not trying to pick this high in here. It just saves me from those types of losses. So Berserk, I can't really mention much because to me, if I'm just on the 30-minute here, trying to use SMT and a bunch of other things to frame shorts in here, it's just not something I would do because it just doesn't align with anything that I want. If I was going to trade it, I would need to trade it with the ones that have that reversal off previous day high, just based off of how they were trading. Right, so if you see like HO, right? HO is clearly the weaker one. So then if I'm going to trade it, I need to trade it in here. Let's see if we can find an entry. This is about it. Trading the weaker asset. We have price reaching up into here. We should give a 30-minute or hourly swing point. Let's see. Oh, it already, did it show it? Oh, right there. My bad. Well, let's go to the 3-minute and see. I don't think I have the update on this indicator. Oh, maybe I do. All right, well, we need price to reach up into here to try to short it. All right, price reaches up there. This is a bullish candle, no interest in shorting it on this candle. And while that is quite aggressive, but that would be what you'd want to short. Sweep this candle closure. If you're going to try to trade that, you need also your stop quite a bit higher, like way up here. And then with that, where are you even going to target? Right? For me, be like kind of that range. So yeah, you could make a case for it. Let's see if that even works. Right? That's where we are right now. So like, sure, you can make cases for it. It just feels kind of forced, right? To me. It's a bit discretionary. And you have to trade the reversal. Because like, if you see a reaction like this, it's not going to wait around and give you a continuation entry, right? The only reason I'm targeting this area is it's kind of the same thing I was showing on ES. That's that protected low. So if we are going to, for some reason, form a new trend higher, right, it's going to respect that area. Should be like an hourly order block, essentially. It's not super clean, but you guys see that, hopefully. Makes sense? So like, you can make cases for it, but do you consider that as CISD? So, quick question for you, Vanna. What is your higher time frame looking like? Because here's the thing. Is this a protected swing? Yes. Is it supported by anything? I don't know, right? Is this a protected swing? We sweep out a high, we form a swing, and we close through. So yeah, it's a protected swing. But to me, what is price doing in here? Is there any swing point to be trading off of? Let's go take a look. Right, you're on the 5-minute NQ right now. So cool, we'll go there. NQ 5-minute. Right? And so for me, what? Price has already had candle 2, right? Hold up, we gotta click this. We're on the 5-minute right now. Price has already had candle 2, 3, and 4, right? I'm not wanting to enter at the end of this expansion, right? I want to be trading within the expansion, not at the end of it. So is this technically a protected swing? Yeah. And that works if you're already in a position, you can trail your stop there, right? But am I trying to enter right here at the very lows after expansion? No, right? Because sure, I could do that. Could I get 2R out of this? Maybe. Am I confident in that? No, not at all. Because I'm entering at the lows of an expansion. This is where if I'm wanting to trade it, I have a fair value gap right here. I'd rather see price form a new swing, trade lower, right? Do I miss trades like this? Yeah, all the time. But I'm fine with missing stuff like that. This was a trade on currencies. Didn't take from FOMC, but it's there. That's sick. SMT with art. Yeah, Berserk. I'm just saying it's just lacking kind of the daily framework. Or if you are going to trade it, you need to be trading kind of the one that's weakest intraday, which if you just take a look at the 4 hour, right? It's HO, right? Because it just has that big displacement candle, right? So, and then, you know, we're either going to reach into this area, form a new high, reach into there, go lower, right? It's kind of the idea. Excuse me. When do you decide to take a trade on the 3-minute or the 5-minute? So the easiest way to think about it is a bit of a difference with ES and Q. Those, just because, is it going for the, because what happens is, I'll tell you guys this, right? If 930 forms a manipulation, right, kind of like it does here, you're almost never really going to catch the continuation because it already expands by the time it happens, right? So if it's going to form a continuation there, that's where I'll want to use the 30-minute, right? Or trade the reversal, which we can talk about, but not today. So it's mainly, the easiest way to think about it is focus on the hourly. If you have a setup on the hourly, right? So the best in terms of indices will be if 8 a.m. is a reversal candle, then 9 a.m. can continue, use the hourly. If not, you may have to use the 30 just because it's quick, right, around the open. But the easiest way I would say is if there is an hourly swing point, that's great, can just use that. If you know what you want and there is no swing point on the hourly, but you know what you want, then you can refine it down a little, right? So like I said, is this a trade that I would take? No. Would it win? Who knows, right? It could just go fall right to its TP. Cool, that's great. Is that something I could use to trail my stop if I'm in a position up here? Yes, but I'm not going to enter new positions at the end here, right? And you can see it's a trade-off, right? You're going to miss winners, but you're going to save yourself losers. You have to figure out what's worth it to you. If a candle closes at the exact same price as an order block, do you consider that a valid CISD or do you want to close past? Mechanically, I want it to close past. If you have a lot of bias, you can be a bit more aggressive with your entries, right? But mechanically, you need it to close through. How's it going, Leo? If you're not going to take the trade normally, it doesn't really help to take it on paper. Exactly. You're just kind of like coping and trying to get cheap dopamine. Yeah, I'm looking for the same thing on oil. But the thing is, for oil, for me to swing something on oil, I need some sort of reversal I can trust. And I'll tell you right now, this isn't a reversal I trust, right? Like, I just can't. So if I'm a bit late into the move, that's fine. I'll be late. I just don't like being early. Because here's the thing, right? I'll show you guys something. If you're early to a move, right? Let's say we're going to form a high at some point. You're early to the move, right? You keep trying to short this, right? You're going to get stopped out once. Stopped out again. Stopped out again. And then, oh, yay, I finally catch it, right? And then your risk to reward can make up for it, right? That's what happens if you're early to the move. Now let's say I'm late to the move. I don't even catch this high. And I'm somewhere down here. Look at that. I can just catch a little run, right? I prefer to be late to moves than early. That's my philosophy on basically trading. Let the highs form, let the lows form, then trade it. Because of you, I pre-ordered a brand new Rivian. Thanks, T. Did you actually order it? I know you were talking about it in Europe. This is the most important FOMC of the year. Super anticipated. Yeah, that probably just cut rates and market will fall. That's about it. And then it will recover. Hi, T. Something that happens often to me, let's see, is that I disregard setups that are close to the next DOL because it doesn't give me 2R, for example, today. How to catch those expansions and they're above current day high or low? I mean, that's kind of up to you. It's something you can make a decision to trade if you want. A lot of times what will happen is it's like a trade-off, right? If you have our previous day high here and you're wanting to trade a continuation over it, how many times do you win here, right? And does that outweigh the number of times that it just stops you out, right? That's something you have to decide for yourself. I prefer not to trade those continuations like that unless I'm very confident in the move, right? And it's how the daily profile forms. Yeah, so daily bias, or the auto bias, we can go over it. So really all it is, let's say I'm on, let's see if something has, all right, right here, we'll use silver for example, right? Dang, silver has actually been kind of clean. But, right, if I'm taking silver here, and you'll see that right now, the daily is bearish, right? That's great. So that means if I'm on the 5-minute or those lower time frame pairings to the hourly, right? And I use auto bias 2, it's going to look up 2 time frames. So like, let me explain it this way. We're just always going to use H1 and 5 for these, right? Auto bias 1, it's not always the same, but it's just 1 time frame up, right? Auto bias 2, 2 time frames up, right? So for instance, here we are on the daily. If I have the 5-minute and I'm on auto bias 2, it's going to look up what? 4-hour daily, right? Because the time frames look like this. Daily, H4, H1, M30, right? And so what it's going to do is say, oh, the H1 right here, let's look up 2 time frames. So 1, 2, right? For the auto bias 1, it's going to be 1 time frame. So it would say, what's 1 time frame below the H1? H4, right? So for instance here, if we go to the 5-minute, right, and throw up the history, right? I don't even know how many, looks like there wasn't much anyways. Well, that's not really a helpful explanation then. But if there were bullish setups and you turn this on auto bias 2, right, that'll go to the daily, it would get rid of all the bullish setups and only show the bearish, right? So you can see it got rid of that one because it wasn't technically bearish yet, right? So it's only showing that bullish one, tried to short in there, short in there, right? Now, if I use auto bias 1, it's going to look at the 4-hour time frame, and then it will only show those aligned with the 4-hour. So you can see nothing today aligned with a bearish swing on the 4-hour, right? Besides in there, right? Which then didn't have a setup. So not the best example for explanation, but that's what it is. T, do you long-term investment stocks? Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I can't really speak on this because I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't really give anything on this. But for me personally, I focus on a portion of my, income into just index funds, and then I will speculate on things longer term, right, with a smaller proportion of my portfolio. I actually have it segmented into different brokerages. I have like 3 different brokerages that I use for different things. It's like one is strictly for just buying and holding, right? And that one I just never look at. I just buy and just never look at it. And then I have another one that's used for, learning new things or testing stuff. So like selling options, stuff like that. And then another one that's more for like speculation. So like leaps and longer dated options or speculation plays, But I keep them all separate because the last thing you want to do is try to take a trade or something and then mess with your long-term portfolio. It's just not really what to do. Your runner on ES hit, nice. Is there a good way to journal our trades? I've been recording overview for after my demo trade, saving it as a journal. I mean, I would just say the best way to go about it is just take a look at the daily, take a screenshot and say, okay, this is what the daily looked like when I was trading within it. This is why my bullish or my bias was this, etc., right? So for instance, if we're here on the daily on silver, I would say, okay, we had price expand up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, has a candle to closure. I'm looking for a retracement back into this range, into these lows, right? That's why I have a bias there. So just journal that. Then you go in and you say, okay, do I have a confirmation of that bias, right? And you go in and you say, okay, here's the high. Do we have a change in the state of delivery? We do, right? Turn this off, right? So mark out that and say, okay, we have a change in the state of delivery. I can be looking to trade short this next day. Then you go into this next day, and however you got entries or missed entries, etc., you mark that down. So you could say, okay, here I didn't get an entry, but there was a possible entry. Here's how I could have gotten that. You know, you just kind of train your brain. Or here's how I got an entry. Here's what I did well. Here's what I did bad. So, love the backtesting video. Awesome. The template TTrades has for the fractal model working great for you. Yeah, I made a in TradeZell at least, or even in Notion. I have a very basic template. I'll get the link somewhere. Somewhere has it. Would you consider teaching options? Yeah, at some point. It's not. It would be like more of a later Q4, start of next year type of thing. It's just it's a bit complex. So like it can go really in depth. So all right, let's go back to NQ. Okay, let's see if it let's see. Go to NQ here. This is the area. Did it not update? Oh, we're on replay. Nice. So this is the area where I kind of want to see if we can just chill here and then till FOMC. The reason I drew this out is because FOMC usually is a two-sided move where you have some sort of fake move, right? And then the real move, right? So I'm just looking for that fake move to be higher, not taking out this high, as we have had on the screen, and then trading into this low, right? Once again, why is this level? I'm looking for some sort of reaction. This is a protected swing right here. So if for some reason we aren't to be bearish, it's just going to form a low in here. So that is it. Hope we get a bloodbath. Yeah. Everyone wants something, you know, you just can't control it. So when would you enter? If you're going to trade after FOMC, you would have to let the release occur. So usually you just wait till after 2:30. Right? Once 2:30 passes, then you can start to make decisions. It's just going to be very fast normally, more volatility. Usually have to use a slightly lower time frame. Right? But you're still looking for a new protected low? I mean, high? I mean, I don't really think we're going to form a protected high here. It's really volatile, so it would just be a wick, right? Like, can someone give me the date of the last FOMC by chance? I almost never watch them anymore. I did too much, some earnings. I don't know. But normally it's like you have like when you have a very fast move, you're not going to get, like it's almost going to be like this kind of, right? Like when I say I want to move higher, I'm not looking for a price to go, oh, higher, wait an hour, close, then go, right? It's just going to go higher than lower, right? So if we go back here, hopefully I didn't delete my drawings, right? I'm not looking for price to form a protected swing here or just be a wick up and down. I just drew it like this because no one wants to see a drawing that's this, like that. What does that mean? My views on gold, it's just bullish. Yeah. Everyone wants it to sell for FOMC. How does the market do what everyone wants? Just long bomb it. You know, everyone wants something. Like I said, you just don't know what's going to happen. You just, like, I'm not going to go gamble on it. My plan was to hold options through it if I got in on Tuesday, but I didn't. And then there's no way I'm trading today on 3 hours of sleep and at a dentist appointment. So it's like, I'm just gonna leave that, right? And the only reason I would say, oh, I would hold through FOMC is if you get an entry somewhere into this daily candle, like higher up, right? You're not really expecting FOMC to just, if it does rip, right, you can still get out of your position, break even, right? You're not entering so close to it where it's just gonna screw you over, right? And usually like what, if you're in a position here, it's moving down and the volatility is increasing, you're actually making money while price can consolidate because volatility increases. I actually saw him before I left for Costa Rica. Got my teeth checked, and then I was like, "Yo, I want a teeth cleaning." I'm very weird. Like I like the dentist, and I like the feeling of my teeth clean. So like I pay for extra teeth cleanings, even though it's not covered by insurance, because I just like the like having clean teeth, you know. Coming to Mexico, I've been to Mexico like 3 times. But I don't know when I'm coming back. I'm not traveling the rest of this year. That's the plan. Because I've traveled way too much, man. If you were in my shoes, 3 months into trading, trying to learn your model and the markets overall, what advice would you give you? You need to just be more patient, bro. You're 3 months in. Like, you gotta realize, like, I spent 1.5 years just losing money. So, like, you're 3 months in, you already have, like, a defined model. You're in a good spot. I would say focus on my model, learn nothing else, and then do hindsight backtesting. Just hindsight. Go watch my video on backtesting, do it in hindsight for like 500 trades and just get it so locked in. Have I ever been to South Africa? Yeah, I've been to South Africa 4 times now. 3 times, 4 times. So, do you ever talk about health stuff? Yeah, I've had some streams where we go into health stuff. I'm not a fan of Brian Johnson personally. Bro looks like a vampire, so if you're afraid of the sun, I don't really trust you. I think my passport's actually almost out of blank pages, so I need to get a new one. What do you suggest on a daily supplements? Brain fog. Alright, Amsterdam, give me like your main symptoms and I'll give you a little supplement stack. Not health advice. Let's put that in there. Knick-knack? I've taken knickknacks. But I would not do that because you're going to deplete a lot of your stuff that you need for your receptors. Nicotine depletes them, which is actually what my supplement company that I'm making is going to help because it will replete that. But most likely, this is what most people could actually use is, let me go to this one. I'm kind of interested in what HO is doing. Right. Most people can benefit from magnesium, right? Magnesium, if you said that your energy is lowered, probably a methylated, just because I don't know you, methylated B complex, right? If you want more energy, you can also look into B1 thiamine, which I think benfotiamine is the best form of it. You can also get the HCl, it's cheaper, or the TTFD. Those are the main ones I would say for most. Let's see, L-theanine. Wait, let's see, your sleep stack. Yo, that's actually a pretty fire sleep stack, but I would, I'll show you how I'd adjust it. All right, this is your sleep stack right now. So I'm not personally the biggest fan of melatonin. I think if you just supplement this by getting blue light glasses, and get off like technology, or at least wear those at night, you're going to stop suppressing your melatonin production, and then you won't actually need that. So you could get rid of that. 250 milligrams of L-theanine, that's good. You're getting magnesium glycinate, that's good. One that I like, and this, it just depends, if you struggle to sleep more so because your mind is racing, then, or let's say, if your nervous system is more acting up, let me ask this question. Do you struggle to sleep because you're just like sore, or is your like your nervous system more acting up? Like, is it more muscles or nervous system? Mind is racing? Okay. So then I would just do this. I would adjust this to magnesium taurate, right? And then do 3 grams of glycine, right? Which you're doing 4 grams of glycine, which is fine, right? Because if you're doing, here, let's see. If you're doing magnesium glycinate, see, look at this, ready? Let's see. All right, if you're doing magnesium glycinate, you're doing magnesium binded with glycine, right? You're already taking glycine, so you don't really need this. So then I would do magnesium taurate, which is gonna help you with your nervous system a little. Like, so that's essentially just taurine, right? Which you can take alone. I like taking glycine alone because it tastes like sugar, but do that. Then I would add in, like, I don't even know the dosage because I don't dose anything out, I just take it. But I would add in male inositol, right? And just do like a teaspoon or so. Teaspoon all the way up to like a tablespoon. I would say that's a pretty fire one. You got that, you have your amino acid support. Just adding the taurine in will help you. You're already taking that. So that would be pretty fire. Magnesium taurate brand. I'll have to look one up. I don't have it off the top of my head. Let's B1 time in HCl. I mean, you can do HCl. So this is what I mean is B1. There's 3 different forms. You have TTFD. You have benphotiamine, and then you have thiamine HCl. This is the most common. Like, you'll find that in most supplements that include it in a small amount. I personally reacted best with this one. This one can cause some paradoxical effects, so that's like, I just prefer that one. But going back to yours, I would say magnesium, that besides, it just depends like on what you're actually struggling with. But like, you could even test lion's mane if you want. I haven't really messed with it, so I can't say much on that. Your mind is always racing. So hash, I would add this. Boom. That should help. That, and maybe even some taurine. I think if you, amino acids, magnesium should help. Alright, let's see. Everyone's just sending their sleep supplements. This is hilarious. Potassium? Yeah. I mean, you're gonna need, a lot of people are deficient in, man, we're just going potassium, magnesium. Like, a lot of people are deficient in potassium, magnesium. If you want, I can grab a link to a good, like, electrolyte powder to use. I actually fixed AM Trades headaches with it, but yeah, a lot of people are deficient with that. You just have to be careful in terms of supplementing potassium, because too much means heart problems. Yeah, so you got to be careful there. Let's see. 300 micrograms of what? Oh, melatonin? Okay, micrograms, that's fine. Where did I learn all this? You just have health problems and you just learn it all. I like a focus tea. Mix the 7 mushrooms before trading. Helps with focus. Nice. Add some tren and test. Nah, bro. Do DHT if anything. I don't know anything about Baja Gold. Any advice to get in the zone while trading? I mean, just get good sleep. How long before bed do you stop eating? You do 7 hours? I mean, I think that's a bit extreme, personally. I mean, I just try to stop eating once, like before the sun goes down. Medicine for hair falling out. Most likely you need to decrease cortisol. You're too stressed. So you're missing probably, it's probably like a mineral problem as well as a stress problem. I use a sleep supplement called GABA. So here's the problem is when you supplement, take a look at, so if you look up what GABA does, right? It inhibits what? Sorry, I'm blanking. basically it inhibits certain signals to the brain, right, to make you more relaxed, right? Now, getting GABA from certain things is a lot different than supplementing GABA. So personally, I don't supplement GABA because it just doesn't really work like that. But what about energy drinks? I don't really do energy drinks personally, but I mean, I don't know too much about energy drinks, so I can't really comment. I bet he has a degree. I don't have a, well, I have a business degree, but like I just did that because I didn't want to drop out. All of this stuff I just learned on the side. Let's see what NQ is doing. I think I do have to go to my, oh wow, it's bouncing. I have to go to my dentist appointment soon. Let me see real quick when that is. I think I have a little bit of time. Oh no, it's actually in, yeah, I gotta leave in 10 minutes, guys. Caffeine consumption. I don't really consume caffeine unless it's through tea. Personally, I just think a lot of people abuse caffeine. You don't really need it that much. You can get energy other ways. You recommend doing a 24-hour fast once a week? I mean, personally, if you're gonna do a fast, the main goal of doing a fast is enter ketosis, right? So then you're using fat for energy instead of like, oh, we won't get into too much detail, but that really only happens after what, is it 16 hours or so? So it's like you're only getting the 6 hours of ketosis. So if you're gonna fast, like I think like a 3-day fast is good. But I don't know. I don't know too much about fasting, so I can't really comment. We are looking into adding some live streams during market hours. I'm not gonna really comment too much. Lambo or Aston Martin? Probably a Lambo. I've never driven an Aston Martin, but Lambos are fun. Health YouTubers? I don't really watch any health YouTubers. I get most of my information from research papers and people on Twitter. Like people on Twitter that drop research papers and you just read it. You know? I can't comment on that currently. Alright, anything else though? Drop the ads from Twitter. Alright, I mean it depends like what level you want, because there's some very surface level stuff, but then there's also some stuff where you'll read it and you're like, what the hell does this even mean? But is there any other questions related to trading? So I can end the stream and upload it, because I don't want to just like leave people in the recording like looking for information and just hearing about all this health stuff, you know? You blew your account today. So that normally occurs because of a couple things. You either, one, oversized, you went on tilt / revenge traded, and that's kind of it. So I would say, which one of those two things did you do? I mean, the amount you should risk kind of depends on your win rate and your strategy, risk to reward, all that. But I would say if for people that trade funded accounts, I think 7% of the drawdown is a good amount. That gives you about 15 trades. You can even go to 5%. Gives you about 20 trades. If you lose 20 trades in a row, it's not your risk management, it's your strategy. So then you can learn from that. SMT with the indicator, it's just going to be, if you put it on automatic, right? Right here, automatic, it's just going to use the ones that I input. If you want to do it manually, you turn this off and you put them in manually, right? But really it's just going to be automatic, and then it doesn't look for SMT, like way back where, right? It's just going to look for SMT in this swing point, basically. What would you do percentage risk-wise on the funded? Right here, 7%. I started the course, got confident, then I messed up with actual trading. So that's what I mean is it's really going to come down to not over leveraging, tilting / revenge trading. I will ask, how many of you have blown an account when you haven't done these two things? Probably like maybe no one. Because like, yeah, maybe there's a few people that blew an account and it took them like 2 months and they just kept losing over and over and over and over and over and they lost, but then they learned a lot from it, right? Literally almost everyone that blows an account, it's from these two reasons. So if you, this is the way I put it, is what are these equal to? It's probably called dumb shit. So how do you succeed? Don't do dumb shit. It's a pretty good way to look at it. So, all right, but we'll go ahead and end the stream there. Hopefully it helped. We'll see how FOMC plays out. My idea remains the same, right? Just looking for that to go like that and that. Am I going to speculate on it? No, I'm not going to speculate at the dentist on that, to be honest. So, also, if anyone knows a good chef in the Tampa area, let me know. I am in need because I don't have time to cook. But we will end there.